man in this style. I pull up a girl for my mind. Fuck on here. Good.
Yo, I want party.
Tell the story. TV that one bad.
Yeah, man.
You see what go on TV there, so when man deal with the girl so bad, man. I know she jump like a skunk on the stage.
Yo, I saw man for deal with Cathy, you see it? Yo, you saw man deal with Gyal, my youth? Mad. I saw man for deal with Gyal all the while. Man, if you have enough for man, you see?
No, Bridget, you can't say that, Bridget. Man, them things ain't right.
I've been one woman is like eating chicken every day of the week. You get Clyde plus 2 times on Sunday. No party, you can't work with that. That low. Yeah, man, enough Gyal, me say, you know, what you say?
Me? One burner, you know. You know, say me a married man already, youth. So what kind of enough burner to you? Yeah, deal with you.
Oh, yeah, talk about Bridget. What kind of man you be, man? Man, if you have enough Gyal and Gyal in a bungle, what the man say? You say Gyal from Rima, Gyal from Jungle. So me say cross town, round town and uptown. That me say, you know.
No, you need to set the example, youth.
What kind of example you have?
Set the example for the youth, that's not the right example. You can't go around and walk up and down with a bag of woman and expect them things ain't right, them things ain't safe.
Nah, man, party. You know, some think you're sensible, man.
That's peace.
Yo, my father have a whole heap of woman. That means a whole heap of as you. You see me come up. Me have to show my father appreciation and say, yo, a whole heap of woman and a whole heap of youth me have to give. You see me?
Masculinity in Jamaica, like the definition of masculinity in most cultures of the societies in the global village, is designed and constructed on the idea that the man is the head of household and it's the man's right to run countries and to run things. And so if we look at our scriptures in the Christian theology, if we look at the home and how we socialize boys and girls, if we look at the schools and see what is expected of boys and girls, we can see this tradition of the masculine being preeminent continuing. Of course, the feminine is always seen as subservient, and so women are expected to be passive.
To be a man, it really calls for us to be in keeping with what God's standard is. And as a man, it calls for us to be responsible and to take authority to, as God presented to Adam way back in Genesis, he really gave man authority to be in charge and, you know, to take control. And so if we are men and we are not doing that, then we are not really effective.
The typical Jamaican man is most identifiable by his libido, I think, or his promotion of his libido. Of course, there are exceptions to every rule, but the greatest belief is that Jamaican men are you know, full of prowess. Basically, that's our most defining masculine trait here.
As a man, you have to worry about the rights and the safety of yourself and your pitney and everybody.
You know, long me have a beer back without not even fly me no catch.
No, you want dead and if you fit them fatherless. You want to fit them fatherless?
No, man.
So if you have unsafe sex and them thing the youth?
Yo, beer back the thing, so you expect me to get youth?
No, youth.
How you think my father get youth?
No,
with
youth.
Condom?
You don't say that, youth. You're living dangerously.
So the masculine is defined by the amount of children men can have and the fact that they can produce male children so that their names can be carried on. But deep down in our psyche, the masculine is seen as the aggressor, the one who controls, and the one who's supposed to be the provider, whether or not he has the wherewithal to provide.
So gender is about male and female roles. It's about how we interpret those roles, who does what, who is supposed to do what. We have to realize that these also drive HIV, these fuel HIV, because those roles are taken over into sex, taken over into decision making, and taken over into all other parts of life to which HIV is very, very, very closely linked.
Gender has a powerful influence on sexual behavior. The stereotypical roles of men and women in heterosexual relationships have been said to encourage patterns of behavior that put both sexes at risk, compromise their sexual well-being, and increase their vulnerability to HIV infection. Approximately 1.6% of Jamaica's adult population is said to be living with HIV/AIDS. This represents about 27,000 people of the 1.6 million population. A number of factors have been historically linked to the spread of HIV. Early sexual initiation, limited life skills and education, stigma and discrimination, inconsistent condom use, multiple partnerships, mother-to-child transmissions, commercial and transactional sex, and men who have sex with men. Over the years, efforts have been made by the Ministry of Health and other stakeholders to address the factors fueling the prevalence rates. Some of the challenges are said to be legislative, political, as well as socio-cultural. The National HIV/STI program under the Ministry of Health is mandated to deal with the disease and have been making strides in the fight against HIV. The prevalence rates, however, still remain at an unacceptable level.
We've been able to achieve a lot with respect to preventing the spread of HIV. We have established a comprehensive program for the prevention, treatment, and care of people living with HIV. We have been able to increase the use of condoms by literally more than 5 times, moving the numbers each year sold or distributed from about 2 million to over 10 to 12 million condoms per year. And this has helped to slow down the spread of HIV. We're very proud of the fact that we've been able to mobilize a lot of resources to pump into the program, and through a Global Fund grant in 2004, we were able to establish a public access program for the treatment of persons living with HIV. So as soon as people are aware of their status, we can put them on treatment and the medication is free to them. And we just have to make sure that they take it every day for the rest of their life. And through this program, we have been able to significantly improve the quality of life of persons living with HIV, and we have significantly decreased the number of persons dying from AIDS. We've also been able to significantly reduce the number of babies born to mothers with HIV by the Prevention of Mother-to-Child program, where we test all pregnant women, and those who are positive, we put them on prophylactic medication to ensure that transmission is prevented to the newborn baby.
The Jamaica AIDS Support for Life, Jamaica's first non-government HIV/AIDS organization, has since 1991 provided a myriad of services for persons living with or affected by HIV/AIDS. The efforts of the organization are, however, being limited by financial restrictions.
We have been able to build up over the years and maintain clients, and I mean significant clients. So children living with HIV, parents infected with HIV, the vulnerable populations, men who have sex with men, sex workers. We worked in the prisons for a while. The hearing impaired are populations with which we work, and that has called for a lot of very sensitive handling of issues and sensitive negotiation of getting into the populations, gaining the trust and working with persons. And that has not been an easy task at all. But I think that we have done it. We still have a whole lot more to do, but it's worth flagging.
We still have many challenges, because although we have been able to prevent literally hundreds of thousands of persons becoming infected with HIV, there are still too many persons who are developing HIV. They are becoming infected still. So we've been able to slow the epidemic keep it at a certain level, but we're not really sufficiently preventing it.
You ever do an HIV test? You ever get tested before? You not even know your status. You don't know what you have. You don't know if you have gonorrhea, have AIDS or syphilis or nothing, because you never do a test. You're not even got a doctor. You need to get tested.
The HIV/AIDS infection rate in Jamaica parallels that in the Jamaican communities in New York, according to Anne-Marie Kaur of the Caribbean Women's Health Association. Certainly, there are numerous cultural factors that account for this. The Gyal in a Bungle syndrome has been pervasive in the society for years. In 1994, popular dancehall artist Beenie Man further solidified the notion when he penned these lyrics.
The one burner basis now work again. The one man for have all 50 girlfriend. You start drink road, start drink it again. You have to have a stamina for service.
I think that enough Gyal in a Bundle is very much part of how young men see themselves, and we keep giving them this message. Unfortunately, some of the male leaders in our society pass on that idea to younger men and confuse them. And therefore, you know, the trailer load a gal, the truck load a gal, the thing or the myth that says you have only arrived when you're running a stable of women and you have many women running after you. And that is part of the breakdown of our family structure. We find that there are many women who have several children for several men. In fact, some people think that that's the norm. There are many men who continue, young men who continue going around having children with different women because they have to have a stable of women, a stable of women. Now it is very obvious, and we know that science has shown that no one man can satisfy very much more than one woman. So therefore you're putting a lot of stress on this enough gal. And then the girls, on the other hand, are socialized to think that they should be in a bundle running after the men because they have low self-concept.
The Gyal in a Bungle syndrome will never go away, let's face it. And let us not be stupid about how we deal with it either. That is something that has been handed down from one generation to the next, and as far as I can see, it will never go away. So what we have to do is target men, or partners, I should say, who insist on having multiple sexual partners. And instead of trying to change their moral behavior and preach to them, what we need to do is equip them.
Music has a great role to play in establishing popular culture. So everything that is popular in music automatically becomes popular in the society. And I think that has a lot to do with why the Gyal in a Bungle, they're having many girlfriends syndrome still exists today because it hasn't been established by the music, but it is being kept alive by it.
The Gyal in a Bundle construction is reinforced by socialization, and it continues to be dominant in a society that still sees women as objects, commodity. If you look at the advertisements on television and listen to them on radio and look at some of the pages in the mass media, you still see women as commodity, young women being there to, you know, be decoration by the side of men. I can think of the page 2s and the page 5s and all these kinds of pages that commodify women. And so the Nuff Gyal syndrome continues to be reinforced in spite of the fact that we have been able to educate women to higher levels in the society.
The gender stereotype of women in Jamaica is one that is passive and subservient. The society prepares women who are submissive in relationships. Many are vulnerable to HIV because of their lack of self-value and their financial dependence on men. In U.S. communities such as Flatbush, Bed-Stuy, and Jamaica, the affected women speak of their inability to negotiate sex. Therefore, they are not using protective barriers. A 2008 survey by the New York City Department of Health and Mental Hygiene revealed that the Jamaican communities had the highest concentration of females affected. 36% of these women are between the ages of 35 and 40, and 33% are 50 years and over.
We don't really talk about sex in a healthy way, in a way that helps to build up our appreciation of sex. We talk about conquest, we talk about how much thing you get and how much you clap down, but how do you negotiate sex and how do you conduct yourself in a sexual experience is not something that's taught. And particularly for young people, they have not been able to explore all the issues relating to sex and sexuality.
Now, some women are definitely more vulnerable where they are dependent on men for their economic livelihood. So if the woman is not working, or if she feels she's in a relationship and she's not going to keep the man unless she does everything he says, then it means that she may not sufficiently assert herself. She may want to be responsible and suggest, let's use a condom, because she suspects the man might have other partners. She knows that it is safer to use the condom. But because she's economically dependent on the man, then she may be reluctant to do this.
So the gender differences of who calls for sex, who negotiates sex, can a woman say this is what I want, can a woman say no, if you can't do it this way, if you can't do it in a protected manner, then there is no sex, without her being boxed down or thumped down. These are all issues that impact the spread of HIV. So when it comes to negotiating safer sex, over the years we have found that our women are predominantly powerless in negotiating safer sex, whereas our men have been taught that they must do it with as many people as possible, how they want it. And so many people take that into negotiating sex, and it heightens the risk of persons to not only to HIV but to other sexually transmitted infections.
Well, I think because they have been socialized to be the passive, to be the giver, to give in to this, and so they leave their sexuality up to men, as I said before, because the men, they too think that it's the man who has to satisfy them sexually. And so you see a lot of them talking about the rough sex and the rough ride and whatever, because they themselves have no idea of how their sexuality has been defined and designed by the Great Spirit. So they contribute because they lay and play dead.
While some of the factors contributing to the spread of HIV can be addressed with tangible solutions, the issues of gender stereotypes and the Gyal in a Bungle syndrome, which are psychological, will require efforts aimed at re-socialization.
I think getting rid of the Gyal in a Bungle mentality would be easy if the girls would come out of the bungle. You know, if the girls don't bungle, there is no Gyal in a Bungle really. As far as men having the attitude that they should have many girls, you know, it's okay for a man to think whatever he wants, but really, the way girls are portrayed is actually up to the girls. So if the girls don't allow themselves to be a part of any bungle, then there will be no Gyal in a Bungle mentality.
In order to change the ideas that we have about the masculine and the feminine, we have to look at many complex issues. It's not a very easy thing to undo hundreds of years of historical socialization and brainwashing. However, in this modern time, I think we have to really take a stance and really ask questions that are difficult to ask. I believe that many of the leaders on these issues are merely, clipping around the edges. And we see that, in fact, people are questioning whether or not so many women in higher education will be good for the society. We have heard that. Well, I think we have to have this discussion and let women know that they must become autonomous. They must become independent. They must be educated. And we must put resources to release poor women from the bondage of extreme poverty. If we do not do that, they will continue to depend on men. They will continue to have children. They will continue to have unprotected sex and not think of themselves as full human beings.
The construction of masculinity posits that men are the leaders in the society. Their dominance is seen in the government, in the church, in the corporate world, and in many a Jamaican home. Does this construction of the Jamaican man place a greater responsibility on him in the prevention of the spread of HIV?
To my knowledge, yes, because you don't know what the person have done in their past. Without a test, you won't know. So prevention is better than cure. So I think that both partners should play a better role in preventing HIV.
I think women should play a great role in preventing HIV. One of the reasons is because we have so many methods in this world now to prevent such thing as HIV, and everyone is scared of having the virus. So I think we should do things as in they provide condoms for ladies now, so every woman should carry one.
They should play a great role in preventing HIV/AIDS by protecting themselves by using a condom.
Society places a lot of expectations on our men, and I think often unfairly. When it comes to the spread of viruses, the spread of diseases, and especially HIV, the HIV virus, it can't possibly be the responsibility of any one gender to stem the flow of it, because it's an infection that is being spread by people to other people. So it has to be people who actually, become responsible enough to stem the flow of it. It can't just be about the men. Women are getting it too, and I think we do get more of it. So it is the responsibility of both parties to protect themselves.
Me is more interested in people protecting themselves. Because you have women who have man in a bungle, said we. And, the whole of it is just like people justify anything. My main concern is that the man them and the woman them be responsible, because there's only one you. So after you have your woman in the bungle, remember there's only one you, And the woman, when they have the man in the bungle, there's only one them. So we really want the people them to kind of be more self-conscious in the sense of preserving themselves. Because one man can only be with one person at one time, actually. You know what I mean? So even if you have a wagga girl, it's like, if you know him take up on himself, I can't stress him out. But, really and truly, where HIV is concerned, it's not only certain people catch HIV and AIDS. Nobody's immune. From your human, you can't catch it. So be careful with the bungle and your group and everything like how you hurt yourself.
A relationship is important, and it's something that is special, and the bodies are very special. This is the only one we get. We don't have another one. So if you do something that is going to put this body in jeopardy, then what are you going to do after that? There's nothing left. You have nothing to look forward to if you're having sex at 10 and 12 and 14. So it's, the best thing that I can say is don't have sex, period, until you are of an age and you're in a relationship, in a serious relationship, and that it means something, and that it's not just a matter of kind of just throwing yourself at whoever.
If men are the responsible leader of their households, then what we want is for men to take responsibility all the way. So if we say you have to take responsibility of your children, you have to have a job to make sure that things run good. In like manner, we want to say you have to take responsibility for the health of your family. So what do you carry home? What do you carry home? Do you carry home HIV and other infections to your family? Or are you also responsible in negotiating safer sex? So responsibility, if we're saying that you are to be the responsible head of your household, we're saying that that responsibility must go all the way inclusive of healthy sexual behaviors. So we say to females in heterosexual relationships, we say to females, you have a right to protect yourself. So you can use the female condom. Put it in hours before you have sex so that you are protecting yourself. We say to men, you have a right also to protect yourself and to protect your partner, so use a condom. And in other relationships, homosexual, bisexual relationships, we say the same thing. Protect yourself. To sex workers, we say you have to protect your body in selling sex. But we also say to the customers, protect yourself in negotiating sex. It's not always only the responsibility of sex workers. And sometimes we're very unfair in how we come down on those things. We tend to put a heavy burden on one partner and absolve the other partner. But in truth and in fact, both have equal responsibility to protecting themselves.
Me I promise. Me and you are going to the clinic. And you're going to get tested. Me and go up there, get the test, know status, and know how I go on, everything.
Alright,
You say we're good?
Yeah, man, I'm good with that, man.
Drink on that.
Alright, bud, alright. But enough, y'all, I say same way.
Well, this is Conscience, and for everybody who supports my music, all of the fans, everybody in general out there, as I say, protect yourself, you understand, whole heap of dangers, whole heap of STDs, HIV, the whole works. Wrap it up if you have to wrap it up. So I say, abstain, whole heap of things out there for mash you up, so you have to just observe your surroundings and know what go on. See, protect yourself and live up.
Hi, I'm Alison Hines, the Caribbean Queen, and of course I want to see all of you live up strong. Be strong for yourself. The only person that you can control is you. So be good to yourself, look after yourself, be proud of yourself, live up, love, respect.
While I'm still alive, I want everybody to know that I'm still alive. Love, protect, respect, live up.
Hey! Hey! You don't know someone that move like King Solomon in this style. I pull up a girl for my mind. Fuck on here! Plenty more nice gal out of Islam. 1 million, 2 million, dolly house and stuff here and a part of we plan. We have to sample every nation, sing along. Plenty more nice gal out of Islam. 1 million, 2 million, dolly house and stuff here and a part of we plan. We have to sample every nation. We sing just the other day we go on a world tour. 23 artists plus me 24. The first place me perform that a Baltimore. There's some me meet a rich girl come from Singapore. As they showed on the crew left same time. Me feel kinda sad cause me miss Yuki wine. But the next destination calm down my mind. Me sleep with a sweeter gal in North Carolina. Go South Carolina and then Storm Tennessee. Surf for California then touch Miami. Rest me waistline now Washington DC.